try and sort it out again. Okay, but that's as far as I can go
Yes,
right
I can
now.
hear you. I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Good to hear. All right. So happy International Women's Day, right? I'm happy to say that. And welcome to everyone who has joined. I mean, I can see a man here. That's very encouraging. Thank you for joining in. And I believe more persons will be joining us soon. But while that happens, I'd like everyone who's here right now to kind of introduce themselves. Just tell us your name and where you're connecting from. Just tell us your name and where you're connecting from. Okay, we'd love to meet you. We'd love to know who we're, interacting with before we get started. So just leave that in the comment section. Your name and where you're watching from. All right. So I'm gonna go first. My name is Ejiro. Yeah, Ejiro. I'll be your moderator for this event. I am the Women Coordinator for the Mind Shift Empowerment and Employment Initiative, which we call the MEEI program. Okay, now the MEEI program basically is a global platform that seeks to uplift entrepreneurs around Africa, right, providing access to resources, to tools, and all that they need to thrive. You know how challenging the African climate is when it comes to doing business. And so what we are focusing on is to drive both positive and economic change through African entrepreneurs. And now the Me Women program is under the MEEI program, right? We are an initiative under the MEEI program seeking to uplift women entrepreneurs. It's as simple as that. Okay, so what we do in the MEEI program generally, we simply break it down. Under the May Women Network, we provide all of that resources, but only for women. And so far, so good. We've been doing so well. We have an amazing network of African female entrepreneurs across 7 African countries. It's been interesting. We provide them with tools, knowledge, access to finance. Okay, and this webinar we're having right now is one of such ways by which we seek to empower these women. And if you're here right now, I want to say thank you for joining in. You're here for a beautiful ride. Okay, so I'm gonna check my comment section now to see if anyone has introduced themselves already. So yeah, let's see. Okay, no one yet, no one yet. Come on, guys, I want to meet you. I know I can see your names already, but I'd like you to just introduce yourselves by yourself. Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes to do that. And while that's happening, I'll just give you a few housekeeping rules. Just a few housekeeping rules, right? So one, please stay muted while the panel session, sorry, while the interview session is going on. Okay, we do not want interference here and there. We just want a very quiet environment. So if you're not speaking, please help us mute your microphones. Okay, that will help us a lot. And then secondly, while our wonderful guests will be talking, I'm sure you have questions, you want to ask, you have observations. That's absolutely fine. Do well to have a book and a pen beside you where you can pen down all the questions that you have, okay? Because we'll have a section for Q&A. All right, so put down your questions. She'll be here to answer all of them. All right, and then number three, um, because this is going to be a very interesting section, we need to share some kind of links. Do not worry, we'll post all of that in the chat box. Okay, so you don't have to ask where's the link to this, where's the link to that. Even while she's talking, we'll post every information that you need in the chat box, so you don't have to worry about that. And then when you want to know more about the Me Women program, do also visit the Me program.org website to see everything about us and what we've been doing so far. So I'm going to get started right away because I don't want us to waste too much time. I'm going to quickly introduce someone very special in our midst today. I tell you, it's an absolute pleasure to have her here because she's an amazing person and it's an honor for her to be us here. She has so many things she should be doing, but she chose to spend the Women's Day with us, and that means a lot. All right, so I'm going to quickly introduce a powerhouse, right? A special person, the founder of Mary Ojulari Foundation, a wonderful nonprofit that is doing a lot to increase access to finance for women entrepreneurs. And I'm talking about no other person than Mrs. Mary Ojulari. Good afternoon, Ma, and good to have you join us here this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
It's great
joining
to be
us, Ma.
here.
Same here. So, can we meet you, Ma, please? Just tell us a bit about yourself so we can get to know you.
Okay. So, my name is Mary Ojulari, as mentioned, and I am a finance and business executive. Over 25 years of experience working in the private sector for over 25 years, but I am a trained accountant. I did audit in the beginning of my career. After 3 years of audit, I was bored and I wanted to try other things. And I have worked in various conglomerates, which includes hospitality, media, manufacturing, and I finally ended in the automotive industry before I exited last year and set up the Mary Ojulari Foundation. So what's the Mary Ojulari Foundation? It's basically a non-for-profit organization. We are committed to empowering young people and women through enterprise solutions. We give scholarships and we are very big on community outreach. And our mission is to create opportunities, especially for young people who are between the ages of 18 and 35 years old, to succeed by providing them financial support through grant, mentorship, and technical assistance. When I was expressing my journey, I had all my professional, or most of my professional career experience in the UK. But a decade ago, I moved into Nigeria. And when I moved into Nigeria, this was when the foundation was born. It was born out of a decade of philanthropic work. And what I was doing over the last 10 years was supporting children and people who have lost a parent with academic scholarship to provide them to further their studies. Why am I doing that? Because I lost my father just before I started university. And I saw how it was a struggle for myself and my sibling to finish our education. And it has been something that has been heavy on my mind. And when I moved into Nigeria and I saw poverty stare at me, I thought with the little I'm earning, I can make a difference. And that's how I started the journey. You know, in today's economy, as dynamic as Nigeria's economy is, academic qualification alone is unfortunately not enough to guarantee our social mobility. And I also thought that we had to expand our work to equip less fortunate individuals with the auxiliary skills which they needed to succeed in this 21st century. Because all the environment around this 21st century requires you to have sustainable development and entrepreneurial zeal to facilitate growth in the context of increasingly diverse and fragmented value chains. So this is me in summary. And I think as we begin to discuss, we shall be probably delving into different opportunities that the foundation brings. But that's in summary who I am.
Amazing. I mean, it's so beautiful to see someone who's gone through life, gone through diverse challenges, and then all they think of is giving back. Because we know a lot of persons also go through issues, but At the end of the day, when things get better, they just feel like, well, I made it and that's it. So I think the amazing thing about you, mom, was your heart to give back to society, knowing fully well the challenges we will go through. And I think I must applaud you for that, ma'am. Thank you so much. You have been a beacon of hope to so many people, especially women and young people around the world. And I know that for as many persons that get to watch, this event after now, they'll be inspired to also know that they have something they can give back to society. So we'll just get right to it right now because I cannot wait myself to hear about what Mary Ojulari's foundation has been doing all this while. Before we get into that conversation, let's talk about women and entrepreneurs. The truth is, we know how challenging it is, especially to do business in Africa, but it's even more challenging for female entrepreneurs, right? And then because you have been in the career path for part of your life, I'm sure you've probably had to interact with some kind of business people along your journey, and you at least have an idea of how it works. Because coming back to Nigeria and then seeing things the way they are motivated you to do what you're doing right now for female entrepreneurs. So this brings me to my first question. What are the biggest challenges African women entrepreneurs face when trying to access funding, and how can they overcome them? This is my first question, ma'am, and I'd love to hear from you. Sorry, ma, you're muted. You're muted, ma.
So sorry. Thank you for that question. I was just trying to explain that my internet is fluctuating. So in and at occasions, I will be in and out of I'll be putting my video on and off as I speak. So apologies for that. But your question is what did you say your question? Sorry, can I get your first question again?
Yes, ma'am. I said, what are the biggest challenges African women entrepreneurs face, right, when trying to access funding? Because the theme of this particular webinar is fueling women entrepreneurs, accelerating access to funding. So when we talk about access to finance for women entrepreneurs, we know there are a lot of challenges. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges African women entrepreneurs face while trying to access funding in your experience, ma'am?
Okay, that's a very good question, which we tend to get all the time when we're talking about women and business, or women while we're not thriving in whatever businesses that we tend to set up. More women, they struggle mainly, and I think mainly because of access to finance. And when I say access to finance, the finance are there, but they're not cheap, especially in Nigeria. But even in countries where finance is cheap in the West, women still struggle to access finance. And we begin to then understand why do we have women not getting more finance in whichever country that you find yourself. But we focus more on Nigeria in this conversation. And I think as women, the first thing that we must do is to ensure that whatever business idea that we want to, we are conceiving. Yes, having a talent for something is great, but we must also think about how are the funders of this capital that we're looking for, how are they thinking? We must not always think about the products that excite us. Is it sellable? Number one. Do we have an audience for it? Have we tested? There are some few things that we need to do before we start going to banks or institutions to give us money. Have we done any homework ourselves? This product that you have or this service that you're willing to provide, if you set it up. Would 10 of your family members buy them or use your service? And would 10 of their friends and family use it? If the answer is yes, what are they willing to pay for that? What are your costs? Is what they're willing to pay for that service or product after you've removed your cost? Are there any leeway, or are your margins very tight that when there is a shock in an environment that is outside of your control, will the margin that is left be able to absorb those shocks like inflation, shocks like COVID, shocks like depression, Ukraine, not being able to produce certain materials for your raw materials and you have to source them elsewhere, which means that it might be more expensive, or you're sourcing your materials locally, but because of the high increase of diesel, petrol in the recent times, would that margin that you have set yourself, would it be able to absorb the increase in diesel without immediately increasing your price? These are things that research has proven to us that women don't do before they start accessing finance. So that when a risk manager is assessing your business plan, they automatically see the risk of you might not be able to repay their loans should there be a shock that's outside of your control. And that's one of the major reasons why women don't get capital. Another reason is traditionally the way the banks are set up. They always want you to be able to give something for something. So they want to loan you. They would say, do you have a property? Do you have something that we can, like a collateral? And institutionally or history, men have always been the provider of things, right from day immemorial. When woman started, man will go to the farm and woman will help in the farm. So man owns the farm. And natural resources are collaterals. The best collateral you can give to the bank are usually natural resources around land, property on the land, again, minerals. Unfortunately for women, we have in time been supporters. So we don't own titles to these collaterals. Hence, we can't get the big fundings that. So what I've been advising women is, yes, it's good that we support our men and we co-own or jointly own assets, but it would be nice also that our names because what a woman understands by co-owning or jointly owning is that their husband owns it. They don't put their names on title documents, because if you co-own something, both names should be on the document so that a man can also use that document to borrow and a woman can also use it. But we've seen that either through lack of education or just cultural beliefs that man should own the assets, women have just reluctantly not actively put their names on title deeds of any documentation that the family owns. And I want to encourage women that until we start to own things, we start to have collateral. Banks will not be lending us money. Institutions will not be giving us big funding because they also are in the business to scale and to make money. And the risk managers would always, because they have a checklist. When you go to the bank or you go to institutions to give you money, there is a checklist. Checklists are usually around credit ratings, right? They want to know, How is your banking history? Have you owned a bank account for so long? If the answer is yes, have you ever borrowed money and have you ever repaid the money? Soft loans, like even 200,000 naira, 300,000 naira, up to 1 million. How well have you done with repaying this loan? And that's what I mean by building your credit history. Each bank with our BVN and our NIN now, they're using those records to collect data on us and storing those data to use those information to make an informed judgment about our capacity to either refund or buy something. So again, education. And when I mean education for women, education, basic education is very important. For women, I'm a big advocate for empowering women through education, because when our women are educated, you find out that it empowers them. And once they're empowered, they thrive, because we are blessed in such a way that if you give us a seed, we multiply that seed by what you give to us. So if you give me a seed and you say, go multiply it because there is a collateral here, and I believe that you can use this land to farm, and this is going to come out from this is the harvest that we would yield in X amount of time. Usually, a woman will connect to that vision of yours, and they will roll with it and they will multiply it. But if you give a woman nothing, they will also multiply nothing. So if a woman is not educated, it means that you have not given a woman anything. And so they cannot multiply. 0 multiplied by 1,000 is 0. So the first starting point is that we must all advocate for women to be educated. Once we are educated, that's the first rule to success. And within that education is financial literacy. Because if you're not educated, then you don't even understand that if I give you 10 naira to buy something, to sell it, I must add value to the 10 naira. Education informs me on the capacity, my capacity, what capacity do I have to add value to that 10 naira? And there are so many capacities that everybody would have through education. So shea butter is what a lot of we women use on a daily basis. Some businesses have added value to shea butter in various modes. L'Oreal is a big cosmetic organization, which their core component is shea butter. The body creams, their body lotions, their makeup, their cosmetic, there is nothing that they're using that shea butter is not part of. But the same shea butter that a Nigerian woman we buy at 10 naira is the same shea butter that a L'Oreal will buy at 10 naira. What makes L'Oreal sell a body cream for 100,000 naira and a Nigerian woman will sell their own for 15,000 naira? So what a Nigerian woman has done is only added 2 naira value to the shea butter to be able to sell it at 15 naira. A L'Oreal, with the same shea butter that the cost price, through education, is more creative and thinks of various methodologies to add value to the same shea butter and is selling it to us at 100,000. And I think women, we must learn to start to think of value add to whatever business ideas that we have. What value can I add to whatever gift or talent that I have that can make me make more profit, so that when there is a shock that is external that I cannot control, I will still be able to make money. However, what I said earlier about also ensuring that there is a market to buy that. You know, there's always a research by all these big organizations, researching, ensuring that in the little local communities, people are willing to buy their products. I use shea butter as an example because it will resonate to every woman listening to me this afternoon, because we use body cream, because we've been taught from a child that we must moisturize our body, we must hydrate our body in order for us to get. And so there will be no lady, poor, middle class, upper class, that would not have used shea butter in their lives or in their lifetime. So that is something which I think are the main real reasons why. And there's so many others, but as we progress, we can. I don't want to focus on biases. Oh, men get this, women don't get this. But in order to even compete with men, even in their industries, we must first think value. What value are we bringing to the table? How are we going to then convince someone else that this is value? And in the process of convincing someone, then it means you can convince 5 other people, 10 other people, and then you can scale. The act of convincing is what we call marketing today. Yeah. So let me stop there. And then
I mean, you're just getting started and so many insights already. I don't even know where to start from. I mean, I absolutely love the fact that you went to the root of it all. You're not trying to say um, women don't have access to finance because the men are the big players in the game. Not that at all. But going to the root causes of the fact that women need to step up their game when it comes to preparing themselves to actually access this funding, to access this finance. I mean, that's a whole new approach, and I'm amazed by it. I love the fact also when you talked about women not being educated, right? And that being a major limitation because that is not even spoken of enough, right? We often see situations where women are introduced to empowerment programs, they're given funding, small grants, even soft loans. But at the end of the day, there is no tangible impact because they do not even understand the basics of how to manage their finances. Some of them might just even see a lot of money in their account and they feel, oh, I'm selling so much, I have so much money. They don't even know what percentage of the income they get is supposed to be plowed back into the business. They have no idea how much profits they have, and if they maybe are in debt, how much they're supposed to pay back. They have no idea about these things, and these are things investors look out for many times when they go seeking for funds. And I'm just very happy that you are bringing them to light. It's amazing. I mean, the collateral again, like you said, women do not understand that when you say you own the property with your spouse, it belongs to both of you. There is no fear in saying, okay, I know this, yes, you're the head, but it belongs to both of us. I should also be able to use it, right? And so we have men who, you know, play around these things and just enjoy all the benefits while the women stay back. And wow, this is really amazing, ma. So I'm going to draw my inference from all you've talked about to the next question. Now, in the midst of all of this, there are still female entrepreneurs who know the game, who understand what they should be doing. These are the ones that are educated, these are the ones that are driven to do business. They're probably doing very well. And then maybe they've gotten to a point where they want to scale their businesses, but they struggle with grant applications, they struggle with investment pitches. I watched this business series called Shark Tank, and you know how it is when you stand before VCs and you're trying to pitch a business. I mean, you know what you're doing, you know your stuff, but are there any strategies you can use or you can suggest to these women to improve their access to accessing funding? I'm talking about women who are prepared now. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So for women who then know their stuff. What I found severally is that women that run businesses, they also have to understand that you must build strong financial records, because institutions look at checklists. They have a checklist. The risk department of any organization that provides funding, there is always a checklist of, can their balance sheet absorb this? Can their P&L talk to us in such a way that we can see growth? Is the P&L talking to us in such a way that there is a trend of what this person is doing? Is the cost of sales right? Are the margins right? And when I mean build strong financial records, it's that you must understand from day one when you set up your business that the vision for your business is that this business must be scalable, must be sustainable for economic development. And if that is at the back of your mind, whether you start very small or you start as a medium-sized company or a big organization, if a funder does not see a pattern in your financial records, they will still not give you the funds. There always has to be a strong financial pattern. Your balance sheet must be healthy. Record keeping must be 100%. And then before we go and start applying for grants or loans, we must first do our research. All grants don't want this. It's one application fit all. Don't just apply to a grant and give the same answer you gave for a grant. There are some grants that are only for impact. There are for grants they want to see that you should demonstrate growth. There are some grants they don't want startups. They just want people who have started and they just want to fund your working capital. There are some grants just, for different things. What I've seen in my little experience of whilst I was in consulting, businesses just apply without even understanding what those grants are for. So you end up being turned down because you have not researched, and you end up also wasting your time, your valuable time that you're supposed to use for So we must educate ourselves. We must research when we are applying for anything. Why are we applying for it? Do I qualify for these things before? Do we understand the loan processes? Ensure that you understand the loan processes before you apply for it. And if you need to seek external advice, one thing I found with women is we try not to pay for certain things that we should pay for, which is expertise. It is very important that before you engage in any transaction, if you're not an expertise in it, you must seek advice. And if you must pay for it. Again, networking is very key for us that are established business women. You find out that men have a couple of social networking groups that they join. And it's not rocket science. You could start with your old alma mater, your secondary school schoolmates. If you're in your 30s, about 5% of your friends that you went to secondary school with will have access to someone who knows someone. If you have been to university, be in touch. Every single phase or stage that you've passed, have an alumni. Let's engage with our alumni, because In engaging with alumni, university alumni, then business alumni, business groups. Yeah, if you are a marketing person, if you find any institution that is putting an event together for marketers, because what happens in those structured meetings is that information are exchanged. In order for us to be successful in businesses, the difference between the ones who are successful and the ones who are not usually is information. Being at the right time, at the right place. I cannot overemphasize the importance of networking, because if you are at the right place at the right time, you will have access to the information, number one. What networking also provides you is that you will then end up finding either a mentor or a sponsor. We all need mentors and sponsors in order for our organizations to grow. You need people to be able to say to someone about your business, about the services that you've provided, and why they trust that if you scale, you will do well. Or they must be able to say something about the individual that is behind the business. If you look even at the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, once the shareholders change, there's a change in shareholder structure, or there's a change in a board structure, share prices go up and down. Why? Because either there is more confidence in the new management or board coming in, or there is less. You would see the fluctuation in the share prices depending on what the public perceives of you. And how would people trust to bring you into their board if they don't know anything about you? You know, I find a lot in the West where people say, oh, they prefer to put a man on the board, or they don't like to put, but I would not risk my share price going down because I want a woman on my board, unfortunately. Because we are here to make money. But if you are widely networked, nearly everybody knows you because you are good at what you do, and everybody knows about it. Thank God for social media now. You can use your LinkedIn in a good way. You can create a presence that you want people to know about you. Use it. We women don't use the tools that are available to us. We just believe because we have the technical knowledge, we have the technical know-how, so everybody must just take us the way we are. No, it doesn't work like that. If everybody wants to be associated with something that is going to improve the organization, that is going to make the organization look good, regardless of whether you're a woman or a man. Some men that don't even promote themselves don't get opportunities as well. So my advice for successful women is we must build strong financial records. We must build our networking. We must also build our credit history. Just because you're running a successful business and you don't need finance at the moment does not mean that you should not, even if it's a small credit card that you will pay at the end of the month. Somehow you're building a history for your either your company or for yourself, depending on how small or big your organization is. Any organization that people cannot research and find any valuable information about them, you begin to appear risky. And with this world where people really don't, you know, if a company goes down for bad service or for bad product, someone usually takes responsibility for it. And usually it's the board of directors or the MD CEO. So for me, for organizations who want to employ MD CEOs, they would want to ensure that they want to not only employ somebody that is credible, but somebody who has been verified to be credible. And what is the verification process? It's through a sponsor, a mentor, networking, business contacts. So you must join associations. Yeah, associations of your sector. Number one, sector industry. So if you're in oil and gas, join associations in oil and gas. If you're in an accountant, you should actively participate or be a member of an accounting professional body that will be able to say, you know what, we know this person because they have been our member for so many years, so they can be able to reference you. And those are the things that I have noticed. As little as they are usually what makes people make decisions to pick organizations for something rather than yours, to work with somebody rather than you. Because if there are no information out there about how successful you are, nobody wants to touch you, whether you're better than the man or not. And most people would rather take an average man than a more successful woman that we don't know anything about. So those are the few things that comes to mind right now.
Wow. Well, again, I really hope every entrepreneur in this room is listening, especially the women who are looking to scale their businesses. So you've heard networking, which is very key. It's funny how women go for events and all they think about is the pictures and the glamour. They forget to actually have meaningful conversations with those that matter in the room. You know, obviously the selfies, sometimes the pictures, the videos. And I mean, that's okay, but why are you there? Why did you go in the first place? So I think that was a very key point you hammered on communities, also being part of communities, women-led communities, and sector industries in your sector that deal with whatever you do. I mean, thank God for the MEEI Women, network where we have female entrepreneurs. The thing again is, I don't know if you agree with me, Ma. Like someone was saying some days ago, it's funny that women expect that they would get um, some sort of visibility or appreciation because they are women. And he said it doesn't work that way. You actually have to deserve it. You have to qualify for it, if I may use that word. Because you're not just a woman and then you expect everything to fall into your laps. No. As much as people clamor for gender equity, you have to be prepared for the opportunities that come your way. Because then again, like you mentioned, imagine like the New York Stock Exchange, a woman will not be put as a board member there because she's a woman. She'll be put there because she's qualified, because the money has to be made, right? So I really hope that we're taking these points to heart, because these are so important. These are the fundamentals every business woman should know about. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next person now. Please, guys, if you're taking down notes, ensure, like I said earlier, pen down your questions because she's going to answer every one of them. I'm sure as she's talking, you know that this is an experienced business mogul, right? You can see that. So take advantage of the opportunity you have right now. Pen down your questions. So when it's time for Q&A, you can ask her any questions that you may have. Okay, Ma. So I'm going to be moving on to types of funding that women can access. I know we hear often about grants, we hear about loans, we hear about investments from VCs. But beyond all of this, are there some overlooked funding opportunities that exist that women are not aware of or they do not hear about? Because now they've heard how that they should ensure that they're prepared to access these opportunities. They should ensure that their financial records are straight. They should ensure that they have access to information per time. So but beyond the traditional loans, grants, are there often overlooked funding opportunities that women entrepreneurs, whether small, medium, or large scale, are there opportunities that they can access even as they businesses now?
That's a very good question. There are so many other opportunities to finance businesses. aside the traditional bank loans and grants that everybody tends to go to. And it goes to my original point earlier about networking. So I've noticed that a lot of women don't even understand when I say, oh, what have you considered angel investors? That, they would say, so how do I get that? So an other option, it's an angel investor. And there are a lot of groups who their mandate is only to support women businesses. I belong to about 2 of those sort of angel investing groups. There's one called Rising Tide. There's a lot. And what they do is intentionally support women businesses. And until we try to ensure that we come out of our comfort zone to go meet people so that we can understand where these angel investors are, sometimes the funding is there. There's a gap between the ones who need it and the ones who want to give it out. And I'm talking to those who have clear business proposals where they've done all their due diligence. They have clarity on what they want to do. They have been able to even start the business for a year or 2, and it's going in the right trajectory. You don't need to go and get loans, which you would have to. Sometimes you can also sell a percentage of your business. So investors will say, we'll give you this, but in return, we will be with you for X amount of time, but you will give us X percent, Y% of your business. So that gives you room to breathe. And they also bring their expertise, because usually what you find with women angel investors is that they are a group of expertise, mentors, subject matter areas, specific sector areas, also experts in those areas who intentionally set up to help a particular cause. So that is also there. There are a lot of government-backed initiatives that support female entrepreneurs. So I am assuming that because I am in Lagos State, I can talk about some of the ones I have found in Lagos State. Usually in the press, on TV, I've seen the state government always advertising. There's something called the Lagos State Trust Fund, and they've given as much as 100 million and as low as 250,000 naira, depending on what. And some of them are structured in such a way that you don't have to pay back, and some of them are structured in grants, some of them are structured, but that's also an opportunity there for women to tap into. Sometimes you can strategically partner with another organization that is probably complementing your business or your service. So you are making a body cream, which is the first example I made earlier, but you want to add value and you want the presentation of the content of your cream to be such that someone would buy it. You can have a strategic partnership with a company that is making the bottles or the plastics. I don't want to say plastic now because it's not a sustainable plan. So let's use bottles and probably items that are sustainable, that will grow the economy. You can partner with those people where probably they also take a stake out of your business. That way, you reduce your cost. You and those other businesses, you share the risks. of the business doing well or not. There's so many opportunities that comes with strategic partnership, rather than we thinking that we are going to lose a stake of a business. I always say to young people, are you going to have 100% of something or 10% of a whole lot? I would rather want to have 10% of a whole lot, because this has been a sustainable way of running organizations. Every business that you find on the stock exchange, they say, oh, someone has a majority. The highest majority of any shareholder. Go check Elon Musk, go check Bezos of Amazon, Elon Musk of Tesla. If you find them having more than 15%, then you can write on the comment section. Usually, these big organizations they control it. They say they have the majority shareholders, that they are the majority shareholders, but they don't even have 15% of the share. They have as little as sometimes 6, 7, 10%. But this is, we women, we think control is about having 80% of our business. Don't always be too rigid. Let's also take risks, calculated risk, I must say. But these are types of funding which you can collaborate with your competitor. Dangote has done that with this in the cement industry. He did that in the sugar industry. He did that in the orange juice industry. Always doing a lot of programs. In the end, he comes as a collaborator, but he ends up overtaking those sectors that he invested in. He came as a new person in the oil and gas, only focused on refinery. He's now a big player. But what did he do? If he gave NNPC majority of his shares in the beginning, he's bought it back now. We must be able to play with this word control. You can take Kobo 360. I was just reading the newspaper yesterday, and I found out that Kobo sold, I knew when Kobo sold it, because when I was in Mercedes, we were doing a lot of things with Kobo 360, because they're into the haulage supply chain. So they were supposed to be the Uber, the trucks Uber. And they had so much potential, private equity, invested so much. Unfortunately, because of factors beyond their control, like infrastructure development, such things like that, they were forced to sell the business and re-strategize. Fast forward, I think this is about 3-4 years now that the business was sold out. The original inventor has gone back to buy the business back. And they will be rolling out a plan on what they'll be doing differently, because surely you can't buy that business back and do exactly what you were doing 5-10 years ago. There must have been a strategic plan for him to go back the business back. And then, there's also crowdfunding, which is known to people. Some of those platforms, let's take advantage of them. Don't let us try to hoard something. And it's in that spirit I want to speak today, because it's the International Women's Day. And if one thing I really want women to take away from what I'm saying today is that we must complement each other. We are not competing with each other. We are trying to make the world a better place to live in. Whatever business anyone, man, woman, is doing, we are making this world a sustainable place. Nearly everybody that has run a successful business, man or woman, has contributed their own quota in making sure that the world is a place for us to live in. We women, for us to really, really add any significant value to this world, we must stop competing with one another. We must stop thinking of destroying each other, either intentionally or otherwise, because our actions, even when we do business with one another, shows that we're always in competition. The way a man competes, and Dangote is also a good example. Everyone should go look at the Harvard Business case study of Mr. Dangote. He comes in to play, and then he competes and he overtakes. So let's play with each other before we start competing, because we can't compete first when we don't even know how to play with one another. So we must first play, and in the playing, Otedola and Dangote started as a competition. They were not friends. They understood each other. They played in the same sector. Otedola bowed out of some sectors. Dangote bowed out of some sectors. Each individual are playing in different sectors. And they both came back, compete, sell some of the businesses. Otedola have sold some of his oil, because the moment he saw that his friend was coming into the oil and gas business, he realized that I'm not going to compete unhealthy with you, because you have a capacity to win. So let me go play in areas which will complement your business. And then you see Otedola is now playing in the banking industry, which is going to complement Dangote's refinery. Access Bank was doing that work for Mr. Dangote. And unfortunately, Abatwigwe passed. And I think, I might be wrong, so this is just me thinking because of patterns. Because when you study patterns and trends, you know what is going on. Mr. Dangote has always been a key customer to Access Bank. And it could be due to relationships. I read somewhere where Mr. Dangote said, when the going was tough, when things were difficult, and nobody wanted to borrow me money because they felt that my business was not bankable, Access Bank did. And that's why there was trust and there was loyalty from Mr. Dangote to Access Bank. Do you think Mr. Otedola is crazy to then go suddenly to acquire First Bank, or intentionally invest to make sure that he has majority shares in First Bank? What is he doing? He's trying to ensure that his best friend also uses the services that he has. But I'm not going to compete with you, but I'm going to complement what you're doing. So they both complement each other. And that way, the friendship has longevity. Let us look for opportunities and options within ourselves to make each other shine, to make each other thrive, to make each other excel. You know, whether you think you can or you can't, you are right. But don't, as Henry Ford has said, don't make the reason why you can't or cannot be because of unhealthy competition, is my message to us this afternoon as women. I think I would stop there. I get too passionate sometimes when I'm talking to women, because the difference between we being successful and not is in our hands. It's not, men are very supportive of us, at least in my own experience. They want us to do well. Some reasons why we are not is because we don't understand business very well. Even we educated ones, we don't understand. We should learn to be, every time, even when our friends come into our space, don't be angry. Look for ways to complement that business. Competition brings success. So if I'm doing something and my best friend comes into the space and do it, so be it. Let's do it. Start to think, because you came into that space first. So she is coming to join you. Then try to think of other added value or other invention that will make you do better, rather than waste your energy on trying to bring each other down.
Oh my God, I can really feel the passion. I feel it 100%. And I wish every woman would get to hear this, because, I mean, what else do you need to hear apart from all of this you're hearing right now? Unhealthy competition. And I agree with you to a very large extent now, because I don't know if it's a natural thing. I don't know if it's something we learn, right? Because we don't see these competitions many times among businessmen, like you have said. Yes, it exists, but then you see that they tend to go to complement each other more than they compete with each other. And if they even have to compete, like you have also rightly said, it's not a do or die affair. I just simply seek for ways to upskill, do better, render more services, like what you try to do same. And that, like I said, I wish every woman would get to hear this. So you've heard it, angel investors, go check them out. They are still business. If you have to give out percentage of the business, like Mrs. Mary has said, do it. If you have to give up 5-10% of your equity, do so. I mean, small a piece of something big is better than a big piece of nothing. If you forget everything else, please don't forget that part. Very, very important. And we're coming to the most interesting part of this webinar today, right? Mrs. Mary has talked about how to access funding, how to prepare to access these fundings, noting fully well that the issue is not actually the funding because these fundings exist, but the gap exists where women are not even aware. They don't know how exactly to access some of these opportunities. Okay, so she's going to be telling us about one right now. Okay, she's walking the talk. She's not just talking; she walks the talk, and that's where she'll be talking to us today about the Vanguard Fellowship. Right. So Mary Ojulari Foundation offers the Vanguard Fellowship. So Ma, can you tell us more about the program? Its benefits and what women entrepreneurs should do, to apply successfully to qualify for the grants. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, when I was introducing myself, I mentioned that I recently set up this Mary Ojulari Foundation. So in my introduction, you could see that I've spent majority of my time in the private sector. But during the 2023 election, I opted to go around the all 20 local governments of Lagos State and to understand why our youths stereotyped to be not creative, to be lazy, to not have ideas. And upon trying to make the youth aware of the benefits and the importance of their civic responsibility to vote, I realized that there were actually a lot of smart people around. The Nigerian education, yes, does not fulfill maximum purpose, but if it's made people believe in themselves. And one thing you cannot fault a Nigerian youth for is the ability to innovate, to be creative. Why do you think our creative and entertainment industry is thriving? It's not because creativity and entertainment is a science. So if you are not intelligent or you lack passion, the creative industry is the most difficult industry to actually break through. I say that with all humility, but I know because I worked in BBC for 8 years. I worked in CNBC and Forbes for another 5 years. So, all of my career of over 25 years of working, half of it is been in the media industry where you find a lot of creatives. They're very dynamic individuals. And in order to be able to deal with them, you have to be able to think on your feet because people who don't understand them say they have mood swings. No, but it's because they are forever thinking and they're forever in a space where they have to evolve. Their ideas have to evolve and they have to think. And that's how I found a lot of, over that 20 local government, I found a lot of inventors, innovators, ideas that shock me. And I start to lose interest in the private sector. And at that point was also a pivot time in my life where my two sons were active in football, and it needed me to support them in ensuring that they fulfill that. And I just started wondering, so what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I mentioned earlier that philanthropy is something that I've been doing since I moved into Nigeria in the last 10 years. So at 2023, I just stood still and thought, I've sponsored 25 students and counting. I've seen youths who have great ideas, but they just don't have access to funding. I have access to private sector. I have good network with opportunity. From the advocacy side, I have engaged, being the president of the European Business Chamber. I had the opportunity to engage with senior people in the government. And the trend continues. And I saw that as government changes, I began to expand my network also within the government establishment. So what am I going to do with these gifts? Because there's a gift. You know the private sector, you know the public sector people, and you're there. There's a problem that presents itself to you. How are you going to solve it? And that's how the idea slowly came to birth first the MEEI Ojulari Foundation for enterprise solution, but sustainable enterprise solution. And we focus mainly to community. Community, what do I mean by community? If you're living in a local government, that's your community. If you want Lagos to be your community, that's your community. If you want Nigeria to be your community, whatever solutions that you want to provide, either from a service perspective or from the product perspective, it must speak to a community. It must solve a problem that is also sustainable to economic development and growth. And the foundation was birthed. We focus on different things. This Aspire Scholarship, which is one of the things that I've said, the Vanguard Fellowship, which is a fully funded 2-week program, which is designed to support artisans, entrepreneurs, and small businesses. How are we supporting them? We're supporting them through equipping them with skills, be it technical skills, business skills such as financial strategy, marketing strategy, how to even write business plans, mentorship. I'm big with mentorship. If you don't know how to do something, you have to shout out to someone. However, the people who are the lower cadre in society, who do they shout out to? They shout out to themselves. So it's the blind leading the blind. But I'm creating an atmosphere where you can come and meet people, industry experts, thought leaders who have the time to talk to you. It's intentional. We women, we talk about intentionality all the time whenever there's an International Women's Day. But where's the action backing that intentionality? So this foundation is intentional, bringing those people into a space where people who need it have access to it, continuous access, not short-term access. And the biggest thing that we're also offering is networking. Networking, if you go to Business Harvard School or you go to Lagos Business School, what they promise you after attending those business schools is the alumni. They admit you to those alumni. So if you do have any problem as a lawyer, you can relate to other lawyers. If you're an architect who needs to maybe redefine or sort of restructure a pattern of your building, you have a group of architects who you can communicate with. People who are living in less deprived communities don't have access to any network. So you being a member of the MEEI Ojulari Vanguard Fellowship When you successful finish the 2 week and you are lucky to get a grant, you become a fellow of the MEEI Ojulari. What does the fellow gives you is the opportunity to have a network with your other fellows. And as we grow and we expand, from 20, we have 50, then we have 200, and God's willing, we exceed the 1,000 business people. Then we can then have a network of fellows who can interact amongst themselves, can socialize amongst themselves, can share information. It's what I said in the beginning about being a member of groups. But sometimes, there's an adage in Africa that 20 friends cannot be friends for 20 years. So it is bearing that in mind that at every stage in life, you then have to also restructure your network. So having a business network in addition to your professional network, in addition to your alma mater, just makes you more intentional in growing your business, because then it means that you have a wider range of people that your business is speaking to. What else are we offering you is a seed capital of $5,000. Why $5,000? We've seen over the years, either from a political perspective or even from single people, giving single NGOs, we throw 250,000 naira or less than 1 million naira to small business owners, artisans. With the current inflation rate in Nigeria and the high demand of Forex that has changed the whole trajectory of our whole economic climate, inflation at 46%, of which food is majority. What is 250,000 naira going to do to any small business? So bearing that in mind, we decided that if we must do something, we must do it well. And we must look for people who want to really be entrepreneurs, people who really want to run a business, people who want to grow their community, people who want to train people, people who want to give back to their society. And that is why we came up with that. And the participants will benefit, like I said, to training, mentorship, networking opportunities, access to potential funding. It's open to women and it's open to youths who are 18 to 35 years old. And I think once we run this pilot and we're successful, the sky will be the beginning, because I am very intentional to solving the unemployment in Nigeria. And without skills acquisition, development, and vocational training, and intentionally developing a structure that will make small business feel that they can always come back for more, we are just playing with each other.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing that opportunity with us. And I believe there are many female entrepreneurs here who are willing to see that opportunity. So, I may ask, Ma, who is eligible for this grant? You've mentioned female entrepreneurs aged 18 to 35. Is there a space for aspiring entrepreneurs, maybe those who have not been in the business world before but are seeking to transition? Do they qualify? Like, who are those exactly that should apply for this grant, and where should they go to register and apply for the grant? Or sorry, the
So
Ojulari Foundation,
yes,
the
so
Vanguard Fellowship.
the opportunity that the Vanguard Fellowship is offering is open to new business ideas. Sorry if I didn't say that. And it's open to people who already have started their businesses, innovators. I don't like to use the word entrepreneurs because I am also catering to artisans. Actually, it's the artisans that I would prefer that they apply, because they are the key to community development. If your community are developed, your growth is sustainable. We've been doing it the other way, and we've not seen any sustainable growth. When I went into some local governments, I saw a shoemaker who had already trained 100 people in a small shop. And one of the 100 piece, about a quarter of about 25 of those people had then gained admission into university. When they got into university, they were also doing those things and training other people. So can you see the multiplier effect of just somebody who, and this artisan went to school? Because there is no jobs. Let's call it a spade a spade. When we finish school, we all want to go to Shell. We want to go to Shell has left. NNPC is privatizing. The whole economy is diversifying out of oil. Agriculture, if we don't start to embrace it, we will start to only do trade and service. It's not sustainable because we don't have infrastructure. Until we have infrastructure development, we cannot thrive. So we must focus on trades or things that will ensure that we are building on our natural resources. We have bitumen in Abeokuta. We have lithium in Nasarawa State. You know, all these natural resources, how are we going to add value to it? It is only the people living in those communities who can think of how to do those sort of things. And that's where we come in. We will give to new business ideas, established business ideas who needs to scale, but you must be age 18 to 35. And because we are women and we are deliberate about women, we decided to remove the age barrier from women to say, listen, if you're a woman, because we know that we've already been discriminated against over the past years, even before every one of us was born. Let's affirmative action, like the American says. So let's be intentional about focusing on ourselves to succeed. So if you're a woman and you have a great business idea, or you've started a business and you want to scale, or you're a youth between 18 to 35, this opportunity is open to you. It's a grant. You don't have to pay anything back. But in return, you must be committed to attending the boot camp for 2 weeks, which is not, there's no accommodation. So you must come from wherever you are from 8 to 5. And at the end of the second week, you will successful fellows, we get the 5,000 and other, and the 5,000 being cost to capital. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am, you have, ma'am. So where would they go? Is there a website or a registration?
Okay, yes. So we are on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, all social media handle at Mary Ojulari Foundation is. So please follow us so that you can get an up-to-date information about what we are doing on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on, but I think we have, at the moment, we're very big on Instagram and LinkedIn. We will, as time goes on, you know, have more resources on Twitter and TikTok. We also have a website, which is our website is www.maryojularifoundation.org. The application, whether you want to, so this is why I'd say I'm big on artisan. I've given the opportunity for artisan to record in any language that they want to record. We will get somebody to interpret that language. But you must be dedicated to attend the bootcamp. So if you cannot read or write, you must demonstrate to us in that video recording for 5 minutes. What is that business idea that you have? Or what is that existing business that you're running? What is your growth plan? Who is your market audience? Who are you selling to? Or who do you intend to sell to? And what is your growth plan? And when I mean growth plan, who are you willing to scale up to, you know? So if you say you have maybe 100 customers today, What is your plan to grow to 1,000 customers? And what steps are you taking? In addition, what are you going to do with that money? Is it for asset financing? Is it for working capital? Is it to pay salaries or to employ more people? Whatever, make sure that you look at the toolkit which we have provided. There's an application toolkit. Follow the toolkit. If you're not recording and you're writing to us, we don't want more than 750 words. And follow the toolkit, the information that we've asked. At the end of the 2 weeks bootcamp, you would have an opportunity to tell us as much as you want, because we would have given you enough to prepare you for a good pitch at the end of the 2 weeks, which will then determine whether you get the grant or not.
Wow. Sounds good. Everyone here should apply, by the way. I have to say that. Okay, I think everyone wants that financial backing they need, to either begin or scale up their businesses. So if you have been thinking before now, where do I go? Where do I look? I need money, I need grants. Well, the good thing about grants is that you don't have to pay back, right? So that's one of the sweetest ways to get access to funding. So I'm going to encourage everyone to take advantage of the opportunity that is being presented here to us right now. Okay, so I want to take questions now. Does anybody have any questions? It would kindly indicate. You could just type it in the chat box and see it. Or you could unmute and ask the questions. You should have questions. I mean, after everything shared here so far, there should be something you want to know. There should be a question in your heart, something bugging you. I mean, I would like to take questions now. Kanti, do you have any questions? Jennifer, do you have any questions? Ogumba, Movo. I'm sorry if I pronounce it not very good. Yes. Question. Could you just unmute and ask a question? It's been such an amazing time. I mean, I never thought I would get so much value in one day. There was no better way to spend my International Women's Day. Okay, Kant, are you trying to speak because you're muted? You're muted, Kanti. Can you unmute? Because we can't hear you. Okay, Jennifer. Jennifer's hand is raised. Okay, Jennifer, can you quickly unmute and ask a question?
Okay, hi. Mine is not a question per se, it's just a contribution. I just really want to appreciate the speaker and thank the MEEI Empowerment Women Empowerment Group for putting this together. I really appreciate. I spent a nice time. I do, however, apologize. I joined in late, but man, I would have beat myself up if I actually missed the whole thing. It has been amazing. Our guest speaker, thank you so much for all your effort. Thank you so much for all that you're doing for our youth, for our women, and then listening to you. I was gaining so much value and I respect you so much and I really appreciate you because I also have an organization and later tonight we're also going to have a session like this on Google Meet. I'm taking this opportunity to invite you to come and see what we are doing also. So I've actually learned a lot and it has built more resource for what I'm going to say to my people that will join me later today. So thank you, Ejiro. You've been amazing. Well done. God bless you. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Yodele, for putting this together. It's not actually easy to bring people together, talk more women, just like the speaker rightfully said, women now we be our own problem most of the time. But going forward, I hope that this advocacy to be there for each other, we actually reach our hearts to the point where we would rather collaborate instead of compete against each other. That has been my message. And I'm happy that someone else is preaching it. I'm happy for the opportunity you've given to people. I'm going to share with my group. I'm going to share with as many women as possible. So be ready to face a lot of traffic on your website because we are coming for you. We want that money. Thank you very much. I just wanted to contribute to say thank you, to say I'm doing something similar. I'm taking the opportunity to invite you. And I will ask Dr. Daniel if it's okay. I will drop my link on the group so we can join us later tonight. And of course, I'll be expecting to get contributions and questions and everything from each and every one of us. Bye. I love you all. Bye for now.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer, for your kind words. We should really be You know,
Yes.
we are women
Well,
and we should always support each other. And there's something
that's
I
it.
always say when you will see it very heavy on all my social media platforms, that we rise by lifting others. You know,
Mhm.
it puts I like that I put a smile on people's face and people put smiles on. I am a product of sponsorship, and both man and woman have sponsored me. And when you find those women who are not competing against you, the sky is usually the starting point when a woman lifts you up. So many women have lifted me up, but find that most men do it, you know, effortlessly. And let women also try to start to. And if a woman you lift up, you find that they're competing, you know, just shove it off. It's part of those things. So long as they're touching lives and they're employing people and they're creating more value, you know, just it's one of those things. Find a way like Otedola and Dangote and
I like
compliment what that
that.
person has done rather than
That's
being angry.
amazing. Okay, but so just a quick one. Do you have any sort of mentorship program for women? That's like maybe you and them one-on-one, or does everything fall under the Vanguard Fellowship? Like, I'm sure many women
So for
want to know.
now, you know,
Yes.
everything falls under the Vanguard Fellowship.
Okay.
So, but if anyone wants to be mentored, we can accommodate that on that because we have a structure for everything, like I said. So we started with the Aspire scholarship. The Vanguard Fellowship is one of our key programs. And you will see within the Vanguard Fellowship, there's a bit of advocacy doing this sort of work that I'm doing. There's also the Ignite Bootcamp, which is also intense with ensuring that we get experienced facilitators who are industry experts in different things to talk to our innovators or our artisans. And then that moves slowly into our cultivate incubator plan, which after we've given you that fund for 9 months, we are following you through supporting you, advice. If you need more funding, we would ensure that you get cheap funding. If should you even need more grant and your case is justified, make sure. We are here to make businesses thrive. And so in all that pillars that I have explained, mentoring is also part of it. Networking, I'm big on networking because if you know no one, you ain't gonna get anywhere.
I just love that last line. If you know no one, you're going nowhere. Oh my goodness, amazing. Yes, ma. So Kanti has something to
Yes,
say. Hi, Kanti.
yes. Namaste from India. And first of all, I want to wish all incredible women happy Women's Day. And this is really, it was a very great session taken by Mary ma'am. Thank you so much, Mary ma'am. You have taken this session and I have noted down a few points. And really, these points are very important. And recently, I have started my platform called the Pride of Tribe to uplift the tribal community in my state. And while doing this journey, I'm facing some problem just to how to build up the network. And when I was trying to interact with the village people, so they don't have the social media. They don't know how to use the social media. And as Mary ma'am, they're like, no, told that we have to make the good network. So maybe in coming days, like I have to do the workshop to train people to how to build that network. And she also told that we have to come with a new business idea. And there are so many points out there. So I'm really like benefited with this kind of session. And what I'll say, just I'm trying to learn from this MEEI program. And I really appreciate that this platform, from this platform, I'm just trying to learn. I'm just slowly I'm growing and build up my network. And so far, I build up my network in all over India. And in coming month, I'm going to do my that event in Dubai. I wanted to invite you, all the women in Dubai, please come and support me. And just in this platform, I'm always ready to learn. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. And because of the time issue, in that link, it was mentioned the 6:30. So many of that my team, they wanted to join, but because of the time, so they are unable to join. But next time, I'll make sure they should be punctual, and as I am. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Santi. So yes, we acknowledge the fact that because of the time and zone differences
Yes.
among our participants, many persons were not able to join. But
Yeah,
the good
many.
thing is, yeah, so
Yes.
this session right now is being recorded. So after now, you can get to watch it again. Okay, so the recording can be made available. You can watch on what do you call it, Zoom, or you can go to YouTube. They're also streaming live on YouTube right now. So the link will be made available after the session, so you can share with your network, right? So the other
Yes.
women go back and watch. Okay. So we understand the
Yes.
time zone difference. We apologize for that, but I mean it's what it is, right? But thank God for technology, right? They all go back and
Yes, yes.
watch.
And just it's my request that please keep doing this kind of the Zoom meeting, and also that we people also build up the good network and try to learn more things. Just so it's a really very good initiative taken by you people. So thank you so much. And
Thank
I'll try to
you.
bring my all Indian team to come this platform and learn. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you. So I'm sure Mrs. Mary can see that she has already begun to inspire so many other women to go back into their communities and cause a change right from where they are. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up shortly, and but before then, I want to quickly introduce the founder of the Me program, the person who has been able to put all of this together, right, and given me women the platform and the opportunity to, have their voices heard, right? So he's going to be giving us some very insightful words and then the closing remarks. Okay, so if you do not mind, please allow me to welcome Dr. Daniel Ayodele, the
Yes.
founder of MEEI program. Good afternoon, Dr. Daniel.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good
Wow,
afternoon.
wow, wow, wow. I'm blown out already. I'm blown out. Thank you very much. Wow. I don't know what to say to Mary Ojulari. You have been incredibly amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And like Ejiro said, I am very, very passionate about women empowerment. As a matter of fact, there is no event that is being held by us that we don't include women empowerment. It's part of our mandate. And hearing you speak passionately about what you're doing, what women around the world, just gives me so much joy. And much more, there is no better joy I have seeing someone like Kanti here, to testify what she's doing. Someone like Chief Jennifer to testify what they are doing. These are all products of Me program. And we are very, very happy about it. I'll quickly give an example of what Kanti is doing. Kanti started up our own foundation, and she reached out to us or what she wants to do, but she had some issues, being from where she came from, networking issues, talking to tribal women, no mentorship program. Even herself needed a mentor. And, we started, that was about 2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
And today we are very glad that she has launched her own program, and she's expanding not just in India. She's now going to Dubai. And Chief Jennifer also, she's doing her thing and she's growing. Every one of us here, we're on a platform to learn. So thank you very much for saying all those amazing, and so many other people that we have here that might not have the opportunity to speak. I'm sure that if not for today is packed with events. Chief Jennifer has her own event today. And we also have another event in Lagos Business School. I think one is at 4 p.m. Then Chief Jennifer's own is at about 8 p.m. in the evening. So there are programs stacked up. If not, we would have, brought a lot of people here. But I truly wish that more people are here to listen, because what Mary shared
Network issue. We can't hear.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's having some network troubles where
Yeah,
he is.
Ejiro, it's we can't hear him. Yes, yes.
Yeah, let us
Network
give
issue,
him
I
some
guess.
time. Okay, so while we wait for him to join back in, I would like Mrs. Mary Ojulari to just give us her final words, our final parting words, just, you know, blow, blow us away with it so that we never forget what we've heard here today. And okay, Dr. Daniel is back. So
Did I
Dr.
time out?
Happy,
Oh, I don't know. My
yes.
network is going off and on. So she reached out and she said, I don't know what to do. I know one thing about this lady. A lot of people were patronizing her, but whenever she walked into a room to pitch her product, investors will always say, well, you have a small business. They will always tell her you have a small business. And because of that, they never support her business. They never give her any funding. This is similar to some other women around the world, just like Mary have said. So I think in breaking that barrier, women, I'm talking to women now. You have your own business, you have something you're doing, you must break out. You must break out. One of the ways you can break out that Mary shared is build your network. One of the ways we have been able to grow today, we have over 24,000 women empowerment programs all over Turkey that is just working to grow women as investors, as entrepreneurs, as startups, just focused on women. What you need to do is find a way in your own area of niche. Don't let anyone pressure you. Don't let anyone say, oh, I cannot do this. You have the ability. So join those groups, very importantly. Then secondly, she talked about confidence. Confidence. See, you women, please, you have the ability to also shift narrative. Look at what is happening around the world. When we hosted the empowerment event, when we hosted the DECO event in Nigeria, my first event in Nigeria, we used a guy that, but because it was a guy, I don't know, we did not get the much inflow that we needed. But last year, when we did our DECO fair in Nigeria, we used a lady, the president of Idon, that's Interior DECO. I cannot tell you what that lady did. In less than 3 weeks, this is the power of women, most especially when they show their confidence. So ladies, you must begin to speak up. Speak up, take risk. You can also do it. And this is what I tell ladies around the world. You can do it. You can do it. You need to say to yourself, when that spirit tell you you can't do it, say to yourself, I can. Yes, and you can. So I am very happy for today's event. Thank you, Ejiro Lucky, for hosting this event, and you have been amazing. You have been amazing. Thank you. I don't want to waste your time. I wish to see more of this happen, and also, please, I would love to have a meeting with Mary after now. Let's see a way we can collaborate. Let's see a way we can support each other, and hopefully beautiful things are going to happen. Thank you once again for joining. Everyone, I cannot mention your name one after the other. I see you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm proud of your growth, and I know we are going to be better. In Jesus' name. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Dr.
Thank you, everyone.
Daniel. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kante.
I
Yeah,
think
so before we
I
leave
think there are
now,
other people who have their hands up.
okay, I can see Osato
Yeah.
Hanwine.
And
Okay,
I
can
don't
you
think
mute?
I don't know whether Chief Jennifer also wants to say something else or it's the previous one.
Yeah, I think it's the previous one. Chief Jennifer, please can you put down your hands because you've asked your question. Okay, but hope you're not taking too much of your time because I'm trying to be sure that
Yes, there's Sele and yeah, I can if they want to ask a
um
question, I can answer it.
okay, that's fine. Thank you, ma. All right, so
Okay.
Gentlemen, just I
Not
want to
hi.
invite
hold on, quite sorry, please. Please go first. Not too select. Osato Hamon, please go ahead and ask a question. Can you unmute and ask a question?
Okay, mine is really not a question. I wanted to thank Mary. Mary has always had a practical way of explaining things, breaking it down to real life, not just sitting down. Some of us have been out there doing business, but we've not been able to network because we're always very careful. I can tell you that women are more careful about other women, and they are afraid to take a risk, obviously, because we are thinking of our families. All that always come first. So what I've learned today, Mary, thank you so much. I know for some or for many reasons, I always had the privilege of speaking with you. Mary actually mentored me from a very long time. So I can tell you that most of the experience that I have or that I've gained in my field, I actually got it from Mary, how to be a good manager, how to be able to relate with other women. So that has always been her strength. In terms of giving, she has always been one that wants to give, wants to speak. I don't know if I.
Okay, sorry about that. Someone was unmuted and it affected everyone else. So, Osato, sorry about the interruption.
Okay, no, that's fine. So I really want to thank Mary. I am she has always had the heart of giving and not just giving financially. So having this foundation is something she has always wanted to do. So I'm happy that she's able to go about it, and she has started something very good. So thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you very much, Osato. So Osato is also one of the board of trustees of the MEEI Ojulari Foundation. We met at work when I was working at CNBC and Forbes. She's still there as their CFO. And in the spirit of women supporting women, it's not always from a boss to subordinate relationship. It's usually also can be the other way. So the mentee can become a mentor, and the mentor can also then the relationship always sometimes can also reverse. In this case, the relationship have evolved where the mentor became a mentee and vice versa. And I also want to thank Osato because sometimes you also have to applaud the women who do these things that we say. So thank you for being somebody who, regardless or against the odds, you stick to the woman, because not every woman will stick to women against the odds. And when I'm talking, I just want you to all cast your brain to what is going on to Natasha Akbuti Uduagwa at the moment. I don't know her personally, but I'm just looking at all the reactions of women around her. When there is an allegation, we must treat allegations as allegations. We must not treat allegation as guilt. So let there be the end of an investigation. Let the course of investigation run its course. And should you have any comments, be it negative or positive, make sure comments from women to another women should be constructive, and you only give it when an investigation is complete. Why we have all these issues around the Natasha Akbuti is that women have not been seen to support women. Thank you very much, Osato, for the support over the years. I truly appreciate you, and I celebrate you today. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you, Mary.
Beautiful. Women
Thank you.
supporting women. Thank you, Osato.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Women's Day once
Thank
again.
you. Yeah, so Stella Walsh, your hand is lifted. Do you have something to say? Do you have a question? Kind of mute and Ask your question now. Seller Wash, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank the organizers for this wonderful time. I've learned so much. I want to thank Ma Mary for her time, for the insightful class. I'm just starting up my business. I started last year, and because it's in Nigeria, we work with she made a comment about having your, what are they calling it, your account, being having a pattern, a particular pattern. And because I'm just starting up and getting raw materials, especially when it comes to like the bottles, it's been quite a challenge because some companies have closed down. They said they can't produce bottles because of the economy and all. So I've been trying to change from one size of bottle to the other, from one size of the bottle to the other. And so my account has not been balancing. So for someone who is just starting up and trying to pitch a business, how do you how do one address that issue? Because I know I've made mistakes, like, but I've been able to see where I made a mistake. But it was just so that I don't run out of bottles. So, and it's not really corresponding. It's not really corresponding because of the sizes. So it's even an issue already. And then because what I do is I do tomato puree and natural tomato puree um without preservative or additive. So it's seasonal again. So within this period of time, I don't get to make so much market or anything or profit. But when the season goes, when it's out of season, that's when my market booms. So how do we, and then throughout the whole, because I started last year, so um, when I now realized that, oh, these bottles are not available, these sizes are not available, so I'm trying to like um manage or get the bottles available, the sizes available. So the prices have been changing, like it has been changing. So how does one deal with that issue in business, in starting up a business, a startup? How do you deal with the changes in the market? It's not like my profits that I make cannot cover up for it, but it can. But sometimes when you're looking at or projecting into the future, because it's just a small business and you're looking at being a big shot in the market and all, how do you deal with such challenges? Because there are some things you can't control. The production of the bottles, you can't control it. Government policies, you can't control. So how does one deal with it, especially when you're trying to pitch in for the business?
Okay, thank you, Seller, for asking that question. Okay, Ma, should wait for your
Sele,
response.
wow, your questions are very packed and they're very good questions. It just speaks to everything that we've been discussing. And congratulations for setting up a good business. When you were talking in the beginning, you were introducing the problem. You started with financial records, and then as I was writing, I was wondering what sort of business is she doing, and then you spoke about bottles, which led to business partnerships and collaboration, and then you also spoke about tomato, pure tomatoes. So well done, because it takes actually a very strong person to go into those sort of businesses that involves seasons agriculture, because the lack of infrastructure and the energy problem that we have in this country just makes the business dead on arrival. But for someone who has the belief and the passion to even start something like this, I applaud you. So to your question of financial records is not supposed to be kept only when businesses are doing well and when businesses are not doing well. So I like what you said about you've realized what you were doing wrong. From the point when you have realized, start to document receipts that you can find, whatever you can find. Get a file, put everything you can find about the past in it. Whatever you cannot find, you draft an explanation about each of those transactions and file them. And from now, start to prepare your records. When I say prepare your records, you can prepare a simple Excel sheet of what you're doing on a daily basis. This day one, we did this, we bought these raw materials, we paid this person, went for this transportation. So long as there is a daily record of what you are doing, and make sure that most of the payments that you're doing goes through your bank account. You might have to then pay an accountant to just put that book in order, probably at the end of the year, depending on the volume of transaction that you do. You might look up to them to do it for you twice a year. But at the point that you have realized that you have done a mistake, you've said the business is a year old. So I don't think that is too far out, because accountants also work on a yearly basis. So as I said, whatever you can find, give it to the accountants. They will tell you, they will advise you for the records that you don't have, what you need to do to put your books in order. And then going forward, you just make sure that what the template that they've set up for you, you feel it, because it's a small business, you don't really need to have a full-time accountant, except if your revenue growth is high, because you just mentioned it's seasonal and sometimes you don't tell. So I've answered your question on the finance, but if that is not what you were expecting, after my answers, we can also dialogue. To the bottle companies that you are collaborating with. So this is what I was saying earlier about external factors that can come to affect your business adversely or otherwise. So in a case where you're not in control of the bottle manufacturer, my question to you is, have you tried to source for other bottle manufacturers, or is every player within the bottle manufacturing facing that challenge? If the answer is yes, have you tried to check overseas importation? Is it more expensive, significantly more expensive? Or if you share a revenue plan with an importer, can they leverage on your future growth to give you a discount so that the amount that you're buying the bottles from the local player will still be the amount you will get it from the importer? Because at the moment, because of the lack of infrastructure in Nigeria, I understand that it's sometimes cheaper to even import some of these things. But because we want to encourage our local players, we tend to. But if the local players cannot manufacture it, we then have to look elsewhere. The third thing I can also suggest to you is that there are so many biodegradable materials apart from bottle that we can also use. Have we considered using other options except for bottles that we can use to store your tomato puree? Then I'm going also to suggest to you, have you thought of probably also playing in the value chain of your tomato puree business? Because if the business you're doing is seasonal, have you thought of doing a lot in the seasons that is booming, so that you maybe partner with a co-investor who you will both make sure that you have enough, so that when there is less tomato puree, you have the storage, because what the co-investor will be investing in is the processing or the storage facility for the tomato puree, so that when there is the low season, you can then go into your storage. This is what is being done in the agricultural space in the West. And can you be that first person that is starting that? What do you need if you can't find a co-founder? What can you do a business plan? Or do you think that tomato puree, just by its nature, is not something that sells? There will be no market all through the year. I cook throughout the year, and I use tomato puree throughout the year. So I want to believe that if you have tomato puree and the quality is right and the packaging is right, you will be able to sell it. So that's my suggestion to you. So if there is something else I have not answered, because your question was a bit long, but I wrote about your seasonal business and your financial records, and then I ought to advise you on the value chain. Is there any?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ma. You answered every question, and I've like what you said. Have I tried to see at importation? So I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's quite better to import, but here's the thing about importation: you can't import just a little. So I now realized that okay, what I need now is funding. And then there are also people that are also like looking at the value chain in my business. I realized that, okay, if I get these bottles so much, I could also go into another or a complementary business of selling some of these bottles because it's needed. And I've also looked at getting storing a lot of the tomato during its season so that it booms. But everything now falls back to funding and getting an investor, because yes, there's a market for it. In short, I was out of stock, but there was so much demand last year. But I was like, oh, this is just a starting business, but there is so much demand for it, but then the funding is not there. So I'm like, okay, it's just a small business. So I'm like, that's even where the whole challenge is. So it was the funding that was the challenge, because if you are importing, you need to import in bulk. You can't import a little. When you import a little, it costs more. But when you're importing in bulk, it's cheaper, but you need so much funding for it. And then um I also look at the value chain of my business, that even if I bring it, if it's so much for me that I can't even consume it in a year, I can still start selling some of these bottles, because I went online and I realized quite a number of people also need these bottles. They want the bottles, but they don't even have the capacity to buy it in large quantity. It's just like the same thing I'm facing, others are facing. They don't have the capacity to buy it in large quantities. Meanwhile, they have businesses they want to do that requires the bottle. And outsourcing maybe other things, other, instead of using bottle, I want my tomato to be pure, like it's without preservative or additive. You know that it's just tomato that is blended. So I require that bottle. That's what makes it, is that packaging that makes it the natural. I don't have to add anything. You're taking a pure natural tomato without additive or preservative or any chemical added. So that's like the challenge.
Okay, Sele, I hear you, and I don't
Yeah.
know the sort of funding requirements, but I don't think this is the platform where we should be talking about funding requirements. So if you have a business plan of funding
Yes.
requirements, or if you think that you've done, maybe based on what you've done or put together, the foundation Vanguard Fellowship can be of help to you, then you can apply, or you can sort of reach out to me with
Yes.
sort of a good business plan if the foundation's offering is too little for the skill that you're looking at. But yes, I mean, I think that space that you're operating in, we need more players there, and you actually do need support. So I'm happy to talk to you offline should you require any additional support in terms of
Okay.
mentorship, putting you in touch with people who, because when you say funding, I don't know what scale you're talking about here. So yes, so let's talk later.
All right. Thank you very much, ma.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And Salah, do well to check your DM. I left you a message just now. So do well to check that out and reach out to me so I can do the needful in connecting both of you together. And thank you so much, Ma, for your willingness to support, women. You said it, and now you're about to do it. You're showing all of us, how exactly that works. And I must say thank you, especially because, like I said earlier, it's a very busy day all around the world, and you could have been anywhere else, yet you chose to be here with us. And that means a lot to the ME program. We do not take it for granted. And from every woman entrepreneur who was in this room and those who would even watch much later, I want to say thank you. Although the founder has given its vote of thanks, but this is from me on behalf of the New Women community saying thank you so much, Ma. And the truth is, I really hope we'll see you again. I don't know how, but I'm sure we can work something out because there is certainly a gold mine sitting right now and staring at me, and I want every woman to benefit from this as much as possible. So I'm sure we can work out something after now, for the women entrepreneurship community. But I also encourage every woman right now again who has heard about the Vanguard Fellowship to go ahead and apply because I'm going to apply. So you should as well and take advantage of the benefits that it presents to you. So if there are any more questions after now, please do help to reach out to me or send it to the women community group. I would find a way to, I will attend to them and I'll find a way to reach out to Mrs. Mary so that she can respond to the questions even after now. Okay. But we're pressed for time. It's past 2 p.m. already, and I'm sure we have many things to do. So, on that note, I'd like to thank our founder once more, Dr. Daniel. Thank our guest speaker, Mrs. Mary, once more. We're grateful, and I promise you, for everyone who has been in this room, we're going to make you proud. And thank you for all your attention and your support so far. Thank you to all our participants who will be able to make our time to be here this afternoon. I'm sure you got value for your time. And let's do this again next month, right? Let's come together, get knowledge, get information, be empowered so we can go back out there and make changes in our communities. And if you also want to be a part of the human community, right? Go to meprogram.org, like I said, follow us on social media at meprogram, okay? You see everything that we do. And if you want to also share with your friends who were not able to attend, like I said, we have different women from several African countries, and due to the time differences, many could not be here, but we know that they're going to be able to watch right this session after now. So you can also share the link with your network, share with your friends, your female entrepreneur friends. They should listen to things like this. They should listen to events like this so they can do better. Because when you don't know better, you cannot do better, right? So thank you all once again, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a lovely day and happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much, Ma.
Thank
Have a
you.
lovely
Thank you,
afternoon.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
Ma.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Say, about me, we ain't done. You're not in a position to judge me. You're not the one who wrote the book so far.